What's going on, guys? I'm back with another commentary over a shoulder day this time. This shoulder day was honestly pretty light and it doesn't really include that much volume, but does include the intensity. And I focused primarily on my front and side delts in this workout because my back delt, which is the posterior head of your delt, was completely fried from the pull day or the back and biceps day that I just did prior. So I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through this workout, and I'm trying to get more of these commentaries in, try and get better at them, and produce higher quality content that's a little bit more educational and allows you guys to understand why it is I do what I do if you watch my prior videos and wonder why I do certain things. The video is going to be starting here shortly with some abs. So as you can see right here, I'm starting off with my obliques, which is the side of your abs. I'm only showing the one side of this one. I'm not going to show a video of me doing my other side because it's kind of pointless, and also this is a very long clip because I did like 50 something reps because I take all my ab sets to failure, typically with body weight only. I rarely do anything weighted unless it's like isometric holds or like planks or well, not really weighted planks, but where you sit on your, or you lay on your back and hold your legs up off the ground. Sometimes I put a couple of plates on my ankles to help make it a little bit harder, since it's a little too easy after doing it for a couple of years with no weight. But to explain how to properly do this right here, I can make a whole separate video showing you the actual form in depth and take you through the motions. But I want to explain that if you see I'm laying on my side, kind of like at a 45-degree angle towards the camera, and I have my right leg over the left knee in the direction that I'm facing, and I have my right arm under my head, and my other hand that you can see is on the obliques, and it's on the obliques because I'm feeling it contract with every rep that I'm doing, which is very important to me with the mind muscle connection, because after even after doing this for so long, I hold my hand there because I can feel it contract, even though the reason why the reason why I keep my hand there is so I can feel it contract, so that way I know that it's being worked, because sometimes you do like 20 reps and you don't feel much, but it's because you have a lot of muscular endurance and it's hard to feel it. So I make sure it's contracting, and then I take it to failure, which is like 50 something reps. Now here is a front variation of basically the same movement, which is a crunch. I don't really do sit-ups, I do crunches. As you can see, I have a small pad under my back. You can see a little bit in the last frame too. It just kind of increases my range of motion. I have a little bit of a round or an arch on my lower back. And what this is allowing me to do is get a better range of motion. I get a better stretch. At the bottom right here, you can see I'm going all the way down. I kind of open up my rib cage as I breathe in, and I breathe out as I come up, and I'm crunching all that air out. I'm completely deflating my lungs and kind of compressing my diaphragm as I come up, like, and then when I breathe in on the way back, I'm really opening up my lungs, and you can feel it stretch out your abs, and that's what I'm going for, is that stretch. Now you can do these with your knees up like here, or I had my knees completely down, my legs down for the first part of that set. And the reason is because I actually feel it more in my abs when I have it laying down, but it's harder. So what I end up doing is raising up my knees at the end when it gets a little bit harder, so I can keep the proper form. Now, for the last ab movement of this day is a plank. I hold this for like 50 something seconds. I don't know. It hurt after doing all those crunches to failure, which was like over like 150 total crunches of this. I didn't film all the sets, but that's how many I did, trust me. This is just kind of like for the transverse abdominis. I think I said that right. Which is kind of like the interior, the abdomen underneath the abs that you actually see. So it's kind of like the underlying muscle. This is just good for help keeping a nice tight waist, and it helps for overall strength and like your primary compound lifts like deadlift, squat, overhead press, and not really bench, but kind of. I mean, core is for stability anyway, so that'll help. And then real quick, before I touch on what I'm doing here, I just want to say I do abs pretty much every single day before my workout, right after my warm-up cardio. and I do it right before my mobility stretching like you see here. And the reason for that is just because, well, actually, let me just say, I do them every day unless they're sore. And I do them more often than I don't do them. So here, I take this stick, as you probably saw in the last video, and I'm just kind of swinging it around. This is primarily for shoulders. I love it for shoulder warm-ups. It's like kind of like a miracle stick, if you will, for getting my shoulders warmed up. Because for me at least, shoulders are like number one for warming up. Because if I don't warm up my shoulders, I'm just like absolutely in pain during every workout, even leg day. You'd be surprised at how much you move your shoulders in every movement. Because if you watch my prior videos, it's like keeping your scapula retracted and depressed, either very extremely or very slightly. It's still used in a lot of my form. Just for isolation of other muscles. But this is good because it warms it up and creates kind of like a pain-free experience. Now, like I said, I didn't really do much this day for my shoulders. I just kind of kept it pretty simple for the front and then the side head of the shoulder. Here, I'm doing standing overhead press again. It's been a while since I've done it, so I'm just warming up here with the bar, which I usually do for every movement, even squats and deadlifts. Just to get the bar path down and get those muscles ready to go in that direction that I need them going in. And I work up to a working set for strength. I've been trying to really focus on my strength lately in all my movements. And instead of doing too much, like in my eyes, too much to be like 5 by 5, like 5 sets of 5 reps. I actually keep it on the lower end of 3 sets for strength. So I'll do like 3 sets of 5, and then I've been adding 5 pounds every week. And since I'm starting off again, lifting pretty heavy, I've been scaling it back a little bit. Like for example, on my incline bench, I could do like, maybe 155 for a good 5 clean reps, but I actually scaled it back and did 135. That way I leave a lot of room for progression later, because I don't want to like cap out immediately. And the next day I can't even increase by 5 pounds or whatever. So I'm giving myself some leeway, and it's actually working out very well. So this is my working weight for this overhead press shoulder workout, and it's only 95 pounds, which it might seem like a lot to some people, but to me it seems like no weight at all, even though it's super heavy. Like I feel weak, basically is what I'm trying to say. I feel weak doing this weight because it's such a light weight in, like, from what you see a lot of bigger people do. I know I'm not super big, but it's a little bit lighter. I've done more in the past. I've done like 115 or whatever for the same amount of reps. But again, I'm only doing 3 sets of 5 here for strength, and then everything after that, I'm doing hypertrophy type work, which is just like a little bit higher reps. So like more like the 8 to 12, sometimes 15 rep range. Some of those sets actually get up to like 20 because I'm just really trying to go to complete failure. And I overestimate the weight I overestimate the weight I'm doing, I think is the right term, where I pick up weight, I think it's going to be good, but I end up being able to do way more with it. So I take it to like failure, which is like 20 rep sets sometimes. But after these strength sets, which are, again, sets of like 5, so I can increase these working set weights by like 5 pound increments each following day. So next shoulder day, I'll do 100 pounds instead of 95. So that was the end of the strength work. Now here I'm doing more of like the hypertrophy work. I think I get like 20 reps on this. I think these are the 10 pound weights. Then I go to 15 for the next set for like, I think 20 as well again. And then I went up to the 20 pound dumbbells and did those for sets of 12 for the remainder of like the 5. I think I did like 5 or 6 total hard sets for the medial delt. And the reason for that, again, like I said, I kept it like pretty simple. The intensity was there, just the volume wasn't. And that's okay sometimes because I still see results doing it this way. Sometimes it's better to do given the intensity is there. Sometimes I find it's actually better to get a little bit less volume than way too much because it still leaves a lot of room recovery, assuming you're going really hard, because a lot of people actually go really hard, don't even eat enough, and don't get even proper sleep on top of that. And that's where you see like the overtraining. You know, there's a huge debate about overtraining. I like to call it under recovered, because then you know for sure if you're overtraining, because you'll just be under recovered. So like, for example, I'd be overtraining if next shoulder day, for some reason, my shoulders were still sore and I decided to hit them again. That'd be like overtraining in a nutshell. I didn't like that whole frame there because it was like focused on a smudge spot on the mirror. So so here's the next frame. I got a pretty good angle here. I think I start flexing in a minute. Don't mind that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is where I have the 20s, and I'm doing sets of 12, which to me is kind of mind-blowing, because I used to think anybody that did 20s on sets of lateral raises like this were just like, number one, most like 95% of the time I saw anybody do it with 20s, it was terrible form, and two, or they were on juice. But I've been finally able to work up to a point where I can actually do them with decent form. As you can see, I'm not swinging too much, but a little bit of momentum is there. I'm flexing a little bit here. I'm like amazed at how far I've come as far as like the lines in my shoulders. That's honestly, I think, what I get for doing like a shoulder day specifically, instead of doing push-pull legs, which is a 3-day split, which is a very common split. I actually did it 4, added a shoulder day for its own day, because I find that I haven't really been able to have time to isolate my shoulders. And also working a lot of upper chest lately, I've been able to develop some striations in my chest, which I think is unbelievable. I never thought I'd come that far with the shoulders and the chest, but that part of my physique meant a lot to me, so I really focused on it. That's why I'm doing incline bench instead of flat now, and dedicating a whole day to shoulders every week. So with these 20s, like I said, I finished out at like 3 total sets of 12 with them. And with proper form and with that intensity there, on top of the intensity of the strength sets, because don't get me wrong, it might look easy at some points for me to like lift these weights, but that's only because I'm like, I'd rather like almost die than do improper form, because I don't know, it's just kind of like this philosophy I've adopted over the years. So some people they're like, oh, you could have done one more, or you could have kept going. I'm like, actually I couldn't, okay, because I isolated that boy to a complete and utter failure. And sometimes like past failure with like cheat reps, but again, that's a whole nother topic for another video, is cheat reps and why they can be used and how to properly use them. But with the intensity being there and having such an intense back and biceps day the day prior, I honestly, like, that's about all I could handle. I mean, it was like still like an hour workout when it was all said and done, with all the mobility work, abs, cardio, and the total, like 10 total sets of shoulders, like 5 being for the side and 5 being for the front head. I think there's really not much left of this video. Yeah, it's not. So thanks for watching this commentary. I'll be doing commentary for a push day, which is chest and triceps. That one's with Jake. I don't know if I'm gonna have him on for that one or not because of our schedules and whatnot, but we'll see how that one goes. And then as well as a leg day, I believe I'm gonna do a commentary for. I don't know if I think I'm gonna do a solo one of those, and then have an additional video coming where me and Jake also hit legs. It's like a squat day. But for my leg days, as far as like the progression goes, I have a like a squat dominant leg day where I focus on squats primarily, and then a deadlift dominant leg day where it's like sumo deadlifts. I can explain that more in the leg video. But thanks for tuning in for this one. Let me know if you have any specific questions that I didn't cover, because I know I don't have a lot of time to cover all this information, because all this information can be stretched out over like tens of different videos and maybe hundreds of different videos. As far as each individual topic, I can ramble on about for 20 plus minutes a piece. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I can address those in a separate video. But I think that's it for this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.